Hey friends, do you ever have those days where you look in the mirror and you're like, something is off about my makeup today? Like it's just not looking good. And then those days where you look in the mirror and you're like, my makeup looks really good today. And you try and like do a little mental snapshot of what you did so that you can do it over and over and over again. Well, today I looked in the mirror and I'm like, my makeup's just not working. There's so many things that's just not working with my makeup. And I thought I would break it down and let you know what I did wrong and why I'm not having a good makeup day. And then we're gonna wash this off and we're gonna redo it because I just have to. And we'll talk about the products that I'm using and why I'm using them to have a good makeup day. Sound fun? Let's do it. Okay, so let's talk about today's makeup. Let's zoom in real close and we're gonna break down the makeup. I'm gonna tell you what's not really working. And keep in mind, I have a big, huge light in front of me. Everything looks better than it really does. So you might take a look at this video and think it doesn't look so bad, but I'm gonna insert some B-roll here from my cell phone in different lighting situations so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But let's talk about my makeup and what's not working, and then I'll tell you what I did and why it just didn't work. Okay, so the first thing I noticed about my makeup today that is just not working is my skin is way too glowy for my liking. It looks shiny, it looks greasy. It's also magnifying texture because of that excess shine and glow. It is magnifying. Do you see how it's kind of putting a highlight on my texture right here? I have large pores and it's just shining a spotlight right on them. So whenever you are using really glowy, dewy foundations, really wet, dewy looking foundations, that is kind of a side effect of that, is you can get magnified texture like I have. Now, if you are wondering what foundation did you use, I used the NARS Long Wear Natural Radiant Foundation today. I bought this. It was the first time I tried it out and I'm just not a fan just because of the shine. I also powdered quite a bit to tone the shine down. So that's another reason why my makeup is not just looking great today, because if you look underneath my eyes, do you see all that texture and fine lines? Because I really powdered and powdered trying to cut that shine down, yet I still have this really, in my opinion, kind of greasy looking glow. Okay, so that's number one, why my makeup's not working, the wrong foundation for my preference and my skin. The other thing that's not working for my foundation is my lips are more of a cool tone color. Not to say that it doesn't look good on me or it looks bad, but I really lean towards more warmer shades. Those are more complementary to my skin tone, and this just isn't working. In addition to that, I have a warmer blush color on my cheeks. So we're kind of mixing with this warm blush on the cheeks and a cool tone lip, which is kind of clashing and it's just not looking right. So if you're wondering what I have on my lips, I have this Ulta Beauty lip liner and lipstick duo. I actually filmed a video this morning on multi-purpose makeup. So all the makeup I'm wearing today is like multi-purpose, meaning that there's usually two products in one. So this has a lipstick and a liner on one side, and it's a pretty color. It's like a mauve shade, but the liner is very, very cool tone. And it is just not my shades, and it's not the shades that I look most flattering in. And then in addition to that is the warmer blush, which I'll show you the blush that I have on today. I have this blush from Dibs Beauty, and you can see right off the bat, it's a very warm shade. It's very peachy, it's very summery. So those two together are just clashing and they are not working when you, especially when you put them together. Not only is the lip color just not my color, but when you add that warm blush, it just kind of clashes even more. So that might be why your makeup looks a little off, as you're kind of mixing undertones warm and cool, and it could be clashing with your natural undertone or just clashing with each other. Okay, and then number three, why my makeup doesn't look so good is I have a pretty dark shadow all over my lid. Now, not that it looks bad, but for my personal preference and for what flatters my eyes the most, I like to have some lightness on the eye with a little bit of darkness, just accentuating and creating some definition on the eye. So that might be just in the outer corner, it might be a little bit in the crease, it might be a darker liner, but I like that contrast of light and dark. And in today's look, I pretty much did dark all over the lid. Again, it doesn't look terrible, but it's just not complimentary to me. And that's kind of one area where the eye makeup went off a little bit. Number two, I just used one product on my eye. I'll actually share what I used because I actually love the product I used on my eye, but I used this product from Clinique. It has a cream shadow stick on one side. This is the color that's on my eyes, and it actually is really, really beautiful, you guys. So, so pretty, but I just have that all over, and I didn't take a shadow to kind of blend out the crease and diffuse it. And if you look really closely in my eye, especially this eye right here, you can see how there's just kind of a harsh line in the crease. It's not fully blended out. And a couple of things probably happened there. I probably didn't blend this out quickly enough. So that area dried and it was hard for me to diffuse that edge. So I was left with a really sharp kind of unblended edge on the eye. So one thing I could do to fix that would be to take an eyeshadow, a matte brown shadow, and kind of go in the crease a little bit to just buff and diffuse that edge. So that's another reason why the makeup looks a little off. Okay, and the last reason that I think the makeup just looks off on me today is my brows are a little stronger than I would like them to be. And the reason for that is because I use this product from Estee Lauder. This is a Brow Perfect 3D all-in-one styler, and it was pretty dry. The brow pencil was very, very dry. I had to put a lot of pressure to actually get any product to transfer to the skin. And because I was putting such hard pressure, I just got really strong, harsh brows. So for brow products, you really want to find pencils that are creamy and pigmented that you can have the lightest stroke with and get the product to adhere to the skin and actually show up. So that's how you really create wispy hair-like, soft-like strokes. Whereas this, it was just definitely a stronger, harsher line because I had to put pressure to get the color to pay off. So those are just a few reasons why today's makeup is not working. I'm gonna go wash all this off, and I've got a bunch of products in front of me. We're gonna do a full face with products that I know complement my skin tone and my features, and we're gonna create a look that I feel and look my best in, and we're gonna talk through it. I'll be right back. Okay, so we are back. We have a fresh, squeaky, clean face. It is so squeaky clean. I need to add some moisture to it though, and I need to do it stat. So I'm gonna go in with the Jane Iredale Beauty Prep Face Moisturizer. We're gonna prep the skin with this. Get a good amount of this. Apply it all over. It smells like oranges. It smells so good. And this moisturizer is nice and rich. It's a very rich emollient moisturizer, but my skin is just absorbing it and sucking it all in. All right, that feels better. Now, if I were at home, I would do a different skincare routine. I'd probably do my essence first, a little hyaluronic acid serum, but I don't have all those products here. So we're just going in with a nice rich moisturizer, which is giving my skin just a supple, bouncy feel, which is what I need. Okay, next I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna apply the Jane Iredale Smooth Affair Brightening Primer. I am gonna be using the Jane Iredale Pure Press Mineral Foundation. You guys know this is just a favorite, and I just know it's gonna look good. I know when I wear this product, I'm gonna have a good foundation day, so that's what we are gonna do. Now, this primer is a really nice, hydrating, brightening primer, and it's a really good consistency. You can see that it's not heavy. You know, it's got some movement, some viscosity. It's falling down my hand as I raise it, which tells you that it's not really thick. This is just gonna give me a really beautiful, smooth canvas for the foundation. Just glides onto the skin. It's very smoothing. So, so good. Oh, it smells good too. I love that. Next, we're gonna go in and apply concealer. And today I'm gonna be using the Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer. This is a great concealer that I can count on to give me a good concealer day. It's lightweight, it's hydrating, it doesn't accentuate texture. You can use it underneath the eyes or on the skin. You can use it to touch up with because it is so lightweight. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and apply this first. Normally I would apply my foundation before concealer, but since I'm working with a powder foundation, I'm gonna go in with my concealer first. And this one's very lightweight, so I'm not worried about applying too much. I'm just gonna apply it in the inner corner. I'm also gonna apply a little bit on my nose because I have some pinkness on my nose today. And then we're gonna go in and we're gonna blend this out, and I'm gonna use the BK Beauty A506 to blend this out. Now, one tip that I always recommend to have a perfect makeup day is just to avoid using too much product. Regardless of what product you're using, just don't use more than's needed. So always try and apply little bitty layers of your product and really blend, blend, blend. Take your time to really blend the product out. Sometimes we can have a beautiful makeup day and then we can have a terrible makeup day, and we might have actually applied the exact same products, but you know, for reasons, different variables. It could be the weather, the climate. It could be your skin and how your skin, the condition of your skin that day. It could be an oilier skin day, a drier skin day, or it could just be you over applied the product, or you didn't properly blend the product. You didn't take the time to blend it, or you're using the wrong tools. Tools are so important, you guys. That is the reason why I started BK Beauty, is because I truly believe that the tools that you use to blend out your makeup are oftentimes more important than the products that you're using. You can have really high quality products, but if you're not using the right tools to apply those, it's not gonna look good. you know? And on the other side of that, you can get exceptional products from the drugstore and use high quality tools, and it'll look flawless and beautiful and like any other high-end product. I mean, take for example this concealer. You know, this is a drugstore concealer. It's a good drugstore concealer, but blending it out with the right tools is going to give you that really flawless, seamless, airbrushed blend. So now that I've blended that out, I'm looking and I feel like I could use a little more concealer, especially in this area. So I'm going to go and I'm going to add a little bit more just to kind of layer that and get a little extra coverage. It takes a little more time to apply your products this way, but it really matters. So rather than going in right off the bat with a ton of concealer, take your time and just use what's needed. You might find that you apply more product than is needed, and that will impact the way that your makeup looks. The other thing about makeup, you guys, is even though it might look great after you initially apply it, if you have too much product sitting on the skin, 4, 6, 8 hours later, it's going to look like you have a lot of makeup on. It's going to look heavy. Our skin starts to produce oil. It starts to break down product. We start to sweat. You know, we're in different climates. Maybe we live in a really cold, dry climate and our skin gets drier. And when you have a lot of the makeup on really dry skin, it will accentuate texture and it will look like a mask. So be very mindful of how much you're using. It makes all the difference, I promise. Okay, perfect. We are concealed. Now that concealer works. It's a little lighter than I would like, but it's okay. It's gonna work. So now I'm gonna go in with the Jane Iredale Pure Pressed Mineral Powder Foundation, and I'm the shade Golden in this. This has an SPF of 20 in it, so it's going to give me additional SPF benefits. It's good for your skin. It's a mineral SPF. It's clean. It's all good ingredients for your skin. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Now I'm gonna go in with the BK Beauty 111. I'm looking around, so I'm hesitating because I was looking for my 107. I don't see it, but that's okay because the 111 is the next best thing. It's just a little bit larger. And the reason I'm choosing this is because this is going to allow me to pick up a lot of product and apply a lot of product, but it's also very soft and fluffy. It's dense enough to grab and hold product, but it's also fluffy and soft enough to really blend that product out. When it comes to brushes, the more dense a brush is, the more it's going to pick up and lay down product. But if it's too dense, like a solid brick, and there's really no movement in the fibers, you're not going to get that really beautiful blend. So it's going to look too heavy. So this one's a good one. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to load the brush up, and I'm going to start in the center of the face. And I'm just going to kind of press. Do you see I'm just pressing the brush in? I'm kind of pressing it first to build coverage. And then once I feel like I've gotten all the product from the brush to the skin, then I'll go in and I will buff it into the skin. I always have good foundation days when I wear this foundation. I mean, just period. It is one that I can rely on. Now, there are a few other foundations that I absolutely love. I'm giving Jane Iredale a lot of love right now, but I also want to call out a new foundation that's drugstore. I'm looking for it. Here it is. It's the Maybelline Super Stay foundation. This one's really great if you are looking for a drugstore option or a liquid option. That one is really great because it's long wearing. It has a natural, they call it a luminous matte finish, which basically means it's matte, but it doesn't look flat or dry. That one's really great too. But for ease, you just can't beat this one. And you can layer this product up to get more coverage if you want. It's so good. When my daughters start wearing foundation, we still have a couple years for that, but when they start wearing it, this is what I'm probably gonna buy them to start out with, quite honestly, because it's easy and it's good for your skin. Oh, okay, so good. Perfect. And it smooths out texture, so the skin is smooth now. It just looks so much better than this one. This one just did not look good on me. It was too shiny. This now looks soft and matte and natural. Okay, let's go ahead and get some brows on. I feel like I need some brows. So if you'll remember, the last product that I used that just wasn't giving me a good brow day was this product from Estee Lauder. It was just very, very dry, which meant that I had to put a lot of pressure on my brows, which gave me really strong, harsh looking brows. And I want to call out that I don't really know that if it was this product or if this was an old product. I just bought this product, so it shouldn't be old, but I was mentioning in that video that, you know, Estee Lauder isn't a brand that, I don't know how quickly the products are cycling on my Estee Lauder counter is what I'm trying to say. And so I don't know if that product had just been, you know, if it was produced years ago and I'm just getting it, but it felt very dry. It felt like an old product. So I just want to give that disclaimer because again, I don't know that it's actually that product or if it was just like an expired product, but let's go in. And the brow pencil that I have is the Makeup Forever Aqua Resist Brow Definer. Now I was really looking for my Benefit Precision Brow Pencil. That's my favorite at the moment that I love. I don't have it here with me, it's at home. So I was looking for what I had at my studio that works really well. And this is a good option. It's a tiny little precise pencil. I have the shade Deep Blonde and it's a great color for me. So picking the right color for your brows and also again, a formula that is nice and creamy. And I'm just gonna go and fill in my brows and create little hair-like strokes with a really soft movement. If you notice, I'm holding the brow pencil kind of further back. That's allowing me to have a softer pressure. If I hold it really close, you're more likely to put really harsh pressure and get stronger, harsher brows. So hold it further back and it'll kind of force you to have more wispy movements. So now we just have a softer brow. Do you see how it's just softer? I'm also going to take my spoolie and just kind of run through it. After I've applied it, that's also going to soften the look of the brows. I am going to apply a little bit of brow gel. I have the Glossier Boy Brow. This one's a nice one. Also love the Benefit Gimme Brow. That's also a favorite. I'm grabbing this one. I'm just going to apply in a little bit of brow gel to give a little more fluff to the brows so they have a more natural look. So that also softens and just gives a softer look to the brow. Okay, let's go ahead and go into bronzer and blush. Now I grabbed a powder bronzer. I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible bronzer. This is in the shade light medium. So there's two things here. This is a good shade, it's light medium, and it's a very soft powder formula. So it just glides on really smooth and consistent. Now in my last makeup, it wasn't the bronzer or the blush that was giving me a bad makeup day. I actually liked the products I used in that video. It was the Dibs dual ended bronzer and blush. So this is a perfectly fine product, and I really felt like it didn't contribute to my bad makeup. It was the other products that I used and the way that I applied them, but this one actually is good. I just want to say that so that there's no confusion. But I decided to go with the powder now. I think I'm just a little traumatized by all of that shine on my face. I'm kidding, I'm being dramatic. So I'm kind of balancing that with some more powder. I'm going to go in with the N15 brush, and I'm going to load the brush up. I like the N15 for bronzer because it's soft and it picks up the perfect amount of product, not too much, but enough, you know what I mean? So it's really great in my opinion for blush or bronzer. I also use it for powder foundation, but if I want full coverage, I just have to build it up a little bit more. Oh, look at that, so beautiful. And I'm really shearing the bronzer out, working it into the hairline, really shearing it out. So we are starting to warm up in Austin, you guys. Like, was it last week? It was sometime within the last 10 days. We had this Arctic freeze. It was 20 degrees for like 4 or 5 days, which is really unusual for Texas. And I mean, I'm kidding, not kidding you. That was within the last like 9 or 10 days. It's like in the 80s now. And I have a feeling that our cold weather is behind us. I think it's just going to go up from here. So my skin is starting to change, and that means my makeup is going to change. I still love cream products, cream bronzer, cream blush, but I'm definitely going to be leaning more into my powder products as we get into warmer weather. I'll do a balance of both. All right, and then for blush, I did get my cream blush in the shade Balmy from Jane Iredale, one of my favorites. I love, love this. I'm going to use the 112 brush to apply this. This is a really warm peachy pink, which is my shades that complement my skin tone most. And I'm just going to bounce this on the apple of the cheek and blend back and up. And with blush, I always recommend applying enough to where you feel like it adds color to the face, but know that you might go back once the eye makeup is on to add more. I usually do. When I have a smokier or more dramatic eye makeup on, I find the need to add a little more blush. Okay, next I'm going to set underneath my eyes with a little bit of powder to set that concealer in place. I don't really feel the need to set powder all over the face. I don't have a lot of shine, and I did use a powder foundation, so I usually don't set it with additional loose powder when I'm working with the Jane Iredale. But I do want to set underneath my eyes and my concealer just to kind of lock that concealer in and prevent it from creasing or settling in fine lines. Okay, so let's talk about eyes. So in the eyes, in the last look, you'll remember that I had a dark color all over the lid. I really love the color and the product that I use, so I don't want to knock the product for not being the right shade for me. I just think that it was a little too dark for all over my eye. It didn't look bad, but it's just not the most flattering for my eye. And I also didn't use a shade in the crease to kind of blend out. The blend was just not that great. So it just contributed to kind of a little bit of a harsher, messier looking eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep my eyelid, and I'm going to go in with a Bobbi Brown Longwear Cream Shadow Stick. This is the shade Shell, which is basically just a matte, pale, pale, pale porcelain color. It reminds me a lot of like the MAC Paint Pot in Soft Ochre. And I'm going to apply this all over both lids. This is just going to work as an eye primer. And I'm just going to use my finger to blend this out. And I am going to blend it out right after applying it, so I just have a nice sheer layer of it, and I'm able to blend it all out. I think that was what happened the first time with that cream shadow stick, is I didn't blend it out quick enough, and then I was left with that harsh line in the crease. I actually didn't even notice that until after I filmed the video. I was looking in the mirror and I saw it. Actually, when I was watching the footage back to send to my editor, I said, oh my gosh, my eyelid wasn't blended out and it looked a little harsh. So it's important when you're working with the Longwear Cream Shadow Sticks to blend them out quickly, because once they do dry, they do set and stay in place, which is nice. You want that, but if you haven't really properly blended it out, then you don't want that. Okay, so next we're gonna go in with shadow, and I'm gonna be working with the Jane Iredale Naturally Matte Palette. It's just a shade of matte, warm, neutral shades. Warm shades are just my go-to. It just looks more complementary on my skin tone. Again, I'm wearing the warm blush. It just pairs really well together. I do wear shimmer, but today I'm going to be working with just these mattes. What I like about the Jane Iredale shadows is even though they're matte, they have this really light sheen to it, which reflects light and kind of softens the look a little bit. We're going to use the 206 from BK Beauty. It's just a big, kind of fluffy, flat brush. You can pick up a lot of shadow with the side of it, but you can also use the fluffy tip to sheer or blend out. And I'm first gonna take this lightest shade right here with the tip of the brush, and we're gonna sweep this underneath the brow to give a little bit of lift, a little bit of light. Do you see what that did? I'm gonna pop that right under the brow and really blend it out, because I want it to be bright, but I don't want it to be too stark, okay? Next, we're gonna go in and we're gonna take this shade right here, this like soft, kind of pale peachy shade. And we're going to take the same brush and we're going to pack this on the eyelid, starting in the inner corner and kind of working our way over. And we're going to go all the way to the outer corner. So we're basically going to sweep the shadow all over the entire lid from the inner corner to the outer corner. I'm going to take my bronzer and I'm going to sweep this in my crease. This is a little hack you can always do with your powder bronzer, is use this as your transition shade. I will work and play with this palette by itself, but I do want a shade that's lighter than any of these to first lay down on my crease. And your bronzer is always a good default because it's, you know, always neutral. It's always like a warm shade, and it should be a couple shades darker than your skin tone, but not too dark, right? And that's what you ideally want to use to start in the crease. And I'm just going to sweep this back and forth just to give a little bit of shadowing in the crease. And then from there, we're going to go in with these other shades from the Jane Iredale palette to build. And I'm using a big fluffy crease brush to really sheer it out. If you use a small dense brush, you're not going to get as sheer of a blend. And again, I want it to be really light and sheer. Next, I'm going to go into the Jane Iredale palette and I'm going to mix these two together. This really warm neutral shade and this more cooler taupe shade. I'm gonna mix the two together. I'm just using the tip of this brush. I'm gonna tap off any excess and we're just going to plop that on the outer corner and just kind of go back and forth with our brush. We're not sweeping it all the way over. We're really kind of keeping it in the outer corner, but we are just trying to blend out the edges so that even though it's concentrated there, it's still a soft edge. Now I'm just going to take a look in the mirror at the two sides and just kind of go out and even them out. And then last what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another crease brush, something a little bit smaller. So I'm going to take the 211. You can see it's a skinnier, smaller crease brush. Let me show you how it compares to the A503 that we just used. So you can see it's much smaller, it's much tighter. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to go in just with this shade right here. We mixed the two together, but now I'm just going in with this shade. And I'm going to plop this in the outer corner, kind of on top, just to tone down a little bit of that warmth. I still want it to be warm, but I just want to tone it down a little bit. And then I'm going to stop there with shadow. I don't want it to be too dark. I don't want it to be too heavy. I've accomplished my goal, which is creating more lid space and making the eyes more open. And I did that by keeping lightness here and slightly darker shades out here. That's how I've created the shape on my eye to open them up and make them just wider and more open, okay? I'm going to sweep away any fallout. I don't see any, but you can never be too careful. Then I'm going to go in and line my eyes. And I'm going to be using a bronzy eyeliner. So it has a little bit of a shimmer and it's not like a dark brown. And it's definitely not black. So it's going to give a little bit of a softer definition to the lashes. And this is a very affordable one. This is from NYX. It's the retractable eyeliner. And this is the shade Bronze. It's one of my favorites. It's a good one. It's very creamy and soft. And I'm really going to concentrate this. Try and just keep it in the outer corner of the eye. So I apply it and I don't have to worry about getting it perfect because before it has time to set, I'm going to go in and I'm going to smudge this. Now I'm using the 210 brush and I'm just going to smudge this into the lashes before it completely dries down. So I do one eye at a time here. And this is easy. You can't mess this up. You really just have to take the brush and just kind of push it into the product. So nice. And we're going to go into the other side. And what's great about this trick is you don't have to be perfect. You know, you can get a little messy line up there to start, and then you just go in and you smooth it all out with this brush. Another great brush for this is the N12. I love that one. That's usually my go-to brush for this. I don't have it sitting in front of me. That's the only reason I didn't use it, but that is my favorite. And it's actually a little easier to, well, I shouldn't say easier. This is easy too, but it's tighter. So it kind of keeps the line a little thinner if you want it a little thinner. Perfect. Okay, and the last thing you can do if you really want to soften that liner is go back in with a shadow. And I'm going to go in with, we're going to go in with the shade right here. And we're just going to run it on top of that liner. And this is the last thing that's just going to soften the liner. Soft eye makeup is really what suits me best. Not to say that I can't have eye makeup on or can't have a lot of eye makeup, but I just want it to feel and look really soft. Soft edges, no harsh lines, no harsh shades. Perfect. Okay, then I'm going to take the 210 and we're going to go in, we're going to mix these two together, and this is what's going to define my lower lash line. So I'm not going to use a pencil, I'm just going to use a little bit of shadow, and we're just going to softly run it on the lower lash line, really subtle. Okay, we're going to go in and curl the lashes. It's a subtle little step, but it really makes a difference when you do this versus when you don't. And then we're going to go with mascara, and I'm using the Bobbi Brown Smoky Eye Mascara. It's my favorite. It's my go-to when I know I want a good lash day. This tube might be the last use I get out of it. I do feel like this mascara lasts a long time though. I like this mascara because it gives length and volume and a really beautiful wispy look to the lashes. And I really like to wiggle the wand at the base of the lashes to get the base the most full and dramatic, and then pull up. Look at that lash. It's just so pretty. Yeah, this is the last use I can get from this tube though. I can definitely tell it's time to toss it. It's definitely dried out, but even in the poor state that it's in, the mascara looks so good. Look at that. All right, so now we're moving on to lips. And if you remember from the last look, the lips were just too cool toned. They were this more mauve-y shade. It didn't work with the blush. It just wasn't complimentary to me personally, but then it also wasn't complimentary with the rest of the makeup. So I'm gonna go in with this liner from City Beauty. This is the shade Blush. These are brand new. They just launched them and I love these. They're very creamy. They glide onto the lips really nice. They're long wearing. They're comfortable. They don't feel dry. And I love this color. They also have a shade called Willow, which is more of a like a spicy nutmeg shade. It's interesting because this is kind of similar to the Ulta Beauty, but warmer. Ulta Beauty liner was like this shade, but a cool tone version of this. You know, cool tone works on some skin tones. I think for me, warmer is more complimentary. Okay, for lipstick, I default to a warm peachy pink shade. It just adds a lot of youthfulness to the face. It just is what I love. I also like lipsticks to have a little bit of shine, or I like to wear a gloss with my lipsticks because again, it just plumps up the lips, makes them look more full, which also in turn just looks healthy and youthful. This shade is called Nude Pop. It's from Clinique. I love this. I love Clinique's lipsticks. They're so good. And I love this shade. This is a brand new tube, but I've had this before. Oh, I love this color. This is my lip right here. Nude, pink, warm, without being too warm or too coral. I am gonna go in and add a gloss. I'm gonna use the City Lips gloss in the shade San Diego. This is a really pretty pink with a gold shimmer, but the shimmer is super refined, so it doesn't look like glitter on the lips. It just makes the lips look even more glossy and shiny and full. So good. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the final look, and I'm likely going to go back in and add a little bit of blush, just a tiny bit. I love blush. Blush just lights up my face. Last thing I'm going to do is just cut down a little bit of the shine on the forehead. You know what? I'm going to take the BK Beauty 110, which is actually a concealer brush, but it's dense, so it's going to really pick up and set. I'm going to load up with powder, and we're just going to cut this shine down. Go around the nose, right here. Now we are having a good makeup day, my friends. Now I feel, okay, last thing I'm gonna do, this is the last thing we're gonna do. I'm gonna take my blending brush. This was what I used to blend out my shadow to start with. And I didn't add product to this. I'm just taking whatever's left over, which is not much, and I'm just running it in the crease one last time, just to really soften everything. Oh, perfect. Okay, last step, and then I promise we're done. I'm gonna take the Jane Iredale Hydra Palm Mist Spray. This is really good to use with the foundation. It smells amazing. Just a couple of sprays. What this does is it just accelerates that process of, you know, when you put a powder on or you wear a powder foundation and it actually looks better like 45 minutes or an hour later once your skin produces natural oils and it kind of like becomes one with your skin. This just creates that process and accelerates it. So, now we are talking. Now I'm having a good makeup day. Now I feel pretty. I love it. Love, love, love. This is a good makeup day. This is the formula for a good makeup day for me. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. I just thought I wasn't even planning to film this video today. I just saw it as an opportunity when I did my makeup earlier and I was like, this isn't working. I thought, you know what? This happens to other women. I know it. So why don't we address it and talk about why this happens and what are some things that can contribute to a bad makeup day. So hope you found this helpful or at least entertaining. Pop all your questions and comments down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.